Okay, welcome back. This is going to be kind of like a standalone video. I am going to go through and basically rebuild these carburetors. These are the Dellorto 29 carburetors, and what I did is I just actually stripped them all apart, put them through the ultrasonic, rinsed them, and they really came out kind of nice, actually. A lot better than I thought. They look beautiful. So let's just rebuild them. So I'm going to go step by step, and the first thing I need is I have a wire brush. I'm going to pull a bristle out of it, and for cleaning out the jets, you need to really, so I got a wire from that. Here's the thing, you need to clean it every single way, and so that means you need to use compressed air, you need to use a mechanical means, which in this case the mechanical means is an actual wire, and you really need to use some solvent too. So I've got brake cleaner too. So this is the main jet. Here we go. So we're going to start off by installing the pilot jet. So I'm going to clean it out mechanically. I'm going to blow it out with the compressed carb cleaner, and I'm going to take some compressed air so that's the main jet too. Gosh, that thing was crazy blocked. I thought that was the pilot jet. So I'm going to start. I'm going to physically put the wire through. First of all, I'm going to look through it. I can kind of see through it, which is good. But I'm going to put the wire through. I'm going to crank the wire through. And so the wire's been cranked through. I'm going to squirt through it. I'm going to squirt some compressed air through it. And so all right, that's a beautiful hole through. So I've cleaned it many different ways. If you only do one or two, I've always had issues with them blocking up. So I am through. I've got the wire through. It is not blocked, and the solvent has gone through it and cleaned it out. But before I install that, I'm going to actually start blowing out all of the holes. So I'm going to start off. The pilot jet goes right here. I need to make sure it's clear. That's clear. Here is where where the enricher tube goes in. So I saw it squirt out here and up top here. And here is the air fuel mixture right here. That works. There are a couple holes up in here that you want to squirt through as well. So right through here, this is the overflow, and it flows, and up in here, and I can feel the air coming through the air fuel mixture. So everything has been blown through. here is where the needle valve goes. Okay, so it is blown through. So this is a 0.45. So that is the first one. Next one we're going to put in is the enricher tube. And off camera, I've replaced these. They're these black rubber washers. They're kind of like not easy to get through, so it takes a little while to put them on, but I got the gasket kit. So I'm gonna clear this out. First of all, I'm gonna physically go through it. So I'm gonna put the wire right through it and crank it around. I'm gonna go from up top and crank it around, and I'm actually all the way through, so I'm cranking around. I'm gonna blow it through, and this squirts out from the up top. Squirt it through the top. It squirts. Let me get some air through it. So this is the enricher jet, and it goes right up in here. The next is let us do the accelerator pump. So the accelerator pump is multi parts. There's the actual pump right in here, and if we look inside, there is a ball bearing. This makes it, the ball bearing makes it act like a one-way. It's like a one-way valve. You can see the little bearing in there. And I degreased this, and I actually kind of checked it out anyway before. So we have that. We have the accelerator pump spring. And then we have the jet that goes on top. So the pump gets loaded up. I also use something called Freol. I'm going to put a little bit of Freol in here because, especially if I don't run it for like the next couple of days, it just keeps everything lubricated inside. So and then that gets into the spring gets inserted into this little cap, and then the main jet. You really need to make sure that you don't confuse the main jet with the idle jet or the pilot jet. And this jet size is 145, so it says 145 up there, and that one's good, and that one is good. So I'm going to make sure everything is on. I'm not going to actually crank it down hard. There's really no need to crank it down hard. Just tighten it. It is okay. So the next we're going to install the float, and to do that, the needle looks really good. So We're going to install the needle on the float. And we've set that in there. We then have there's a serrated edge for the float spindle. You don't really have to tap it in hard. So that is installed. We are now going to measure the float height. And this is basically from Charlie Mullendorn. And this is actually on this old tractor. So there's a nice way to check the float valve. So we need to measure the distance from here to the top of here when it is laying on its when it's laying on the intake side. So it needs to be 24 millimeters plus or minus a half a millimeter. So from 23.5 to 24.5. So I'm going to measure it like this so that you can see it. So we're going to zero it out, and so right here we're at 23.57. So we are within the half millimeter on this side. And we're good there too. So the float height is good. We're next going to put on we're going to put on the float bowl, and there is a passage in here I'm going to blow out as well. And this goes from the enricher tube. So I'm going to blow it from this hole. It's going to exit here and vice versa. Okay, I've got the gasket kit here. Gaskets really fit well. I've got the gasket for this, so this is a 14 millimeter. Next, the air fuel mixture. I'm going to tighten this all the way in, and then I'm going to turn it out 1.5 turns. I believe the left side carburetor, it is a 1.5 turns out. I think the right hand carburetor is 2 turns out, but I'm just going to turn them both out 1.5 turns. And when I get it on the bike, obviously it gets adjusted. So I'm going to, it's in 1/2, 1, 1/2. So at minimum, it's going to work. The next is we're going to put in the idle adjustment screw. So the next is on this one I have a banjo jet. Here we go. Okay. This one gets really cinched down when I install the carburetor. The next items are, and I'm going to put these in just to keep track of them, but I'm going to really lube them up. The next is the for the enricher. It is so the enricher, I'm just going to pop it in there. We're going to, you have to hook the cable up to it, but I don't want to lose the parts. So the enricher goes in there. You know what? I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to actually install those right on the cables because they will stay. But I am going to put on there is a small gasket that goes on this right here. So let me just put that on here, and we're going to put the screw in. That there and that there. So the slide actually gets connected to the cable as well, but there's a large spring. And I'm going to lube up the slide a little bit too. So the big side, this is a 0.60, and that's what the size, I mean, that's the correct size. I'm going to put that in there, actually. The spring connects right up in here. It just slides in. It kind of keeps it connected. There is a paper gasket that goes there as well. Some people grease this up a little bit. I'm going to be fiddling with the carbs a little bit, so I probably will grease it up then. Okay, so the cable goes through here. It doesn't go through the spring though, and then it connects to the top of this. So there is the first carburetor. It is so I've got the slide up in here. The slide moves very well. So this carburetor is ready to go. Let's start with the next one. So I guess I'm just going to blow everything out right now. There was debris in there actually. Okay. Blow this out while I'm here. Oops, this hole. So the first is, we'll go with the pilot jet first. That's not it. That's a 45 pilot jet. And it's so hard to see. I mean, but hopefully you can see it. It's really blocked, so I'm going to mechanically put something through it and twirl it around. Look, it looks good. I'm going to blow it out with some air as well. Okay, I got a perfect hole now. So clean it through again. Blow through it again. See, it only takes like an extra 5 seconds to do it, and that way you just know it's not the issue. Looks great. The next is the enricher tube. I'm going to physically go through in there. Going to squirt it. through it. Yeah, it's a big hole. So that looks good. Next, we're going to do the accelerator pump. So let's take a look inside of the ball bearing. Looks good. You really want to be careful grabbing that because you really don't want any burrs on it. So I've got the spring for the accelerator pump. I just lubed it up a little bit with some Freol. And this jet is a 45. It's a 145. The hole on this thing is actually huge. You could almost drive a car through it. So I don't know if you can see it through it. It's just huge. So next is the float and the needle valve. It looks really good. And I've read an article, it's on a BMW site, and basically they said, it was like a little advertisement, and it basically said, carburetors are not designed to be petcocks. And you know what? That is true. So on these old bikes, these carburetors are not designed to be petcocks. So you turn them off after you ride it. But with that being said, these are actually pretty good actually. So let's measure this now. So we need to be 24 plus or minus 0.5. Okay. I need to move this up so you can see it. That looks too low, actually. You see, that's at 22.25. That's really too low. Yes. So this one has to get slightly adjusted. And you basically adjust it by just moving the tab a little bit. And again, you need to do this on a level surface. This thing is relatively level. It's as level as this table is going to get. So it's really kind of level. Zero this out. Nope, it's got to get more. I'm going to do it on the table. Okay. That still looks too low. Okay, so where we are at now, can you see it? Okay, so now it looks too big on that side. Looks too big on that side as well. So $24.31. Too much. This one looks like it's about 23.67. So we are good. So we are good to go on both sides. It is plus or minus a half of 24 millimeters. So we're good to go there. And let us put the float ball on. I'm going to put a new rubber on. So Okay, and okay, stand by. This is missing the tiny little gasket for the enricher tube. So stand by. Let me go get one. Okay. So here's the small little gasket for the enricher tube. Next, we put in the air fuel mixture screw. This is the one I think gets turned out 2 times. I'm going to turn it out only 1.5 times. 1/2, 1, 1/2. Screen. I only have one banjo jet, and I've got one on order. It's so much easier to use the banjo jets versus using the using that splitter. I'm just going to lightly tighten that up. Next, I'm going to kind of loop up the slide again. I just poke this down a little bit for it to stay. There we go. The spring hooks in right there. The wire, the cable hooks up back in here, so this so the hole on top of the cover goes it's this way. So this is a complete build of the two carburetors, and these carburetors are going to work fantastically. So stand by. I'm going to actually adjust the camera so that you can see. I'm going to install the springs and the plungers on the cables. So stand by.